This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020, episode 279. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. And of course, visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Maybe you're interested in some little IT tricks here or there. You can check out another website. It's Dude, D-U-D-E, dudeinit.com. Now, of course, I don't do this show alone. I've got my good friend Brian with an I, Aldridge with me. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hyper Idaho, yes.
Yeah,
doing
I've used
well.
that one before. I don't know.
I for investigative journalism, I don't know.
Shit, we're in the wrong place if you're expecting investigative journalism. I mean, boy, you have gone well off the deep end if you believe this show is any accurate source of information.
Yeah, we can pretend.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what everybody else does. I mean,
just pretend like we know exactly what we're doing.
Well, I mean,
and
honestly,
the show will get much more smoothly.
Brian, here's a hot take. Here's an honest hot take. That's what everybody else does. I mean, you see all these gaming blogs, and I'm not even going to talk about actual what is traditionally called news. I mean, that's all everybody does is just make up stuff that whatever. So that's what we do. Kind of.
Yeah. So we're our leading cutting edge.
Yeah, we are. We've been doing it for 5.5 years.
I know they just started in the last couple of years, 3 years.
Yeah, last 4 years exactly. But we've been doing it since day one.
So, well, here, let's get this rolling. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. And of course, if you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have a button that says join our server on Discord. If you do that, you can submit news throughout the week. We've got a channel dedicated to that. So if there's maybe a video game you think we should cover, an article or a topic that you think would be good for our upcoming show, you can post that in the news channel. People are playing games throughout the week. We've got 7 ARC servers running. We've got a number of other things going, people playing COD and all kinds of other games. So if you want to be a part of that, just join the server on Discord. It's a free mobile app, desktop app, web-based app, whatever you want to use. If you join our Steam group, you can get a notification right before the live show starts. Also, we have on there links to our YouTube, our Twitch, our Mixer, and our BitChute. So if you click one of those, you can watch the video form of the podcast. If you want to watch the audio-only forms, you can go to the lower right-hand side there, whether you're on an iPhone, an Android, even maybe various desktop apps. They've got all those on there, and you're more than welcome to go check those out. If you want to look at show notes, perhaps you're listening after the fact, you want to follow along, we have show notes for every single episode that we've done. And so by the time we post this, we'll have episode 279. And we have on there the video link, the audio only link, and then a bunch of links for various articles and videos. So I think that's about it.
Absolutely. I do want to thank our friend Head Neophyte for hitting us up with the resubscription here on Twitch. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. His comment is getting there.
Getting there. Very good. The podcast is getting there.
Well, I was going to say getting there, like finally getting the show started, or he's getting there in terms of his consecutive amounts of subscriptions.
Oh yeah, he's adding on his he's at number 10. So
I'm not sure. I don't know what's happening. It's kind of my MO these days. What's going on with you, Brian? Yeah, what's going on?
Not too much. I mean, let's see. I've been working a lot. I might be playing hockey in 2 weeks.
Is this underground hockey or legit hockey?
This is underground hockey. But what we're thinking of doing is doing our underground, because usually we do our underground hockey league once a month, as far as that kind of side league that I do. That's not an official league. Which
it's not underground if you normally do it.
Well, no, but it's the group of people that I usually played. I played with before once a month. And so we're starting it up, and we're thinking of playing every single week on Mondays. I told them no Tuesdays. I'm sorry. But so we're thinking of playing every Monday just to get, because no one else is playing hockey. It's not like there's any competition or we're covering.
Let me ask you something here, Brian. And this is a big one. Let's say the league happens Tuesday nights.
Yeah. What would I do? I have, okay, so believe it or not, in the past 5 years, I have had hockey leagues that I have stepped out of and told them I would not play because they played on Tuesday nights. Now, my games, they have adjusted, and you notice the league that I was playing in on Tuesday night starts right after our show because I'm very good friends with the person who runs the rink. So yes, that has been an issue, and I quit playing with them for years until they adjusted the time of the actual games.
Okay, so you're here with us.
This has always been my priority. Yep.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I tell you what. All joking aside, Brian, I don't want to sit here and toot. I don't want to toot your horn. Well, I don't want to toot your horn. But I might want to toot my own horn a little bit. Okay, I'm going to sound like a bitch, but it's fine. This is a serious commitment. There's a lot of things that from time to time have come up on a Tuesday night, and it's like, oh man, like I'd really like to go do this.
Yeah,
but you can't.
That's true.
But that's what we're here for. So I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody, but this is a serious thing. Like last show. Yeah, this is our great.
Nick is just warming up to, by the end of the show, he's got a whole outro. This is the final episode special.
The best part is if it cut to that and it was recorded months ago, I had none of the facial hair. Like it was recorded like 6 months ago or something.
It's just no, but finally you've hit to the point where you're ready to say, all right, I finally have the courage. Play it.
I'm just.
It's like this. There's like snow outside. You have all your Christmas stuff up.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out, that this, people that are like, oh, podcasting is just, we always joke about like, oh, it's just a podcast. It is, but it's a significant chunk of time. I mean, pretty much I don't do anything after work Tuesday nights, and we do this show up until, by the time I'm done and uploading, it's 10:30. 10:30, 11 by the time it gets uploaded everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole night.
And with my job, what I usually do is, now I don't have to go down there, but when I was down there, I would always come home early because my job, usually I'd work there till about 5 o'clock. Of course, this starts right before 5. So I don't know. But luckily that was one thing I was concerned about before I started this job that I have was, how flexible is it going to be to where I can get home and do the podcast on time? And that's been the beauty of it. This job works perfect for that. They're very flexible. If I want to leave at 4, leave at 3:30, I can, no problem. Yeah.
So
it works.
There you have it. Little behind the scenes information into the podcast. So there you go. No, this is not the farewell tour.
One thing I was going to mention. In podcast news in general, which isn't really related to our show, but you see that Joe Rogan is going exclusively to Pandora?
No, he's going exclusively to Spotify.
Sorry, Spotify, not Pandora. Spotify.
Jackass.
Wrong one.
Yeah, I did see that. I thought that was interesting.
A multi-year exclusive.
Yeah, so their stock jumped up crazy high. Let me see if I can view this here, because I saw something about it. So starting September 1st, his show will be available on Pandora, and then it will become exclusive. It will be available
Spotify.
Damn you, Brian. It will start on Spotify now, but at September 1st, it will become exclusive to Spotify. This is a terrible idea.
Well, for who? For him or for Spotify?
Well, no, I think this is a terrible deal I think this is terrible for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be losing a ton, but he must be getting handed a big enough chunk of money. For them, this is going to drive a huge amount of people to their platform.
It is, but here's the other thing too. You may think, oh, this is going to, that kind of sucks. I'll just watch it on YouTube. No, you won't. Because the full version of the show will literally not be on YouTube anymore. This sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I don't have that's not weird. I mean, they shell out a bunch of money. I don't have a vendetta against Spotify, but
it's weird for him to make this move. It's going to kill his sponsors. I mean, is he going to be able to have sponsors?
I don't know what he's going to be.
They must have offered him at least as much money as all the sponsors were doing. Yeah, I don't know that they would allow him to do reads beforehand.
This whole thing is just odd to me. I mean, I can tell you what, I will not be watching Joe Rogan on Spotify. I don't use Spotify's not a video platform.
Yeah.
I don't I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify because it's not my preferred way to listen to them. That's the one great thing about podcasting. The technology behind podcast is RSS. That is the feed structure that every podcast has. The great thing about RSS is it's a standard. So if you go to an app store on any phone or look for a podcatcher on your computer, there's hundreds of apps that do this because there's a standard formula. And the cool thing about it is Brian can use whatever app he likes. I pay for an app because I like it. I pay for the premium version of that app so I can use it on my computer. It's kind of defeating the entire thing of he's essentially becoming a TV network, right? Where you can only get it on cable or only on DirecTV or something like that. This fucking sucks. This is huge for podcasting. This is very dangerous. Let me say that. I'll say this. I don't want to spend the whole show on it. Super dangerous for podcasting.
Yeah, because it's taking away what makes podcasting unique and special is the ability to, on whatever device platform, there's so many ways to get it. It's using a standard for retrieving it. Now, this is something where a programmer, like I could go in, have something that pulls the audio file from Spotify, throws it on my own RSS, and there I go.
I'm wondering how
there are ways
gonna
around
work.
this.
Yeah. So,
but that would be one way to kind of deal with it. If you have a group of friends who want to get it, you could just create your own little thing that pulls it.
You know what's so odd though is normally exclusivity and exclusive deals don't start at the top, right? You would expect the exclusive to start with like a middle tier podcast. Trying to think of I listen to weird podcasts, so none of mine will fit that. But a middle of the rung podcast. Joe Rogan is the most popular, most listened to, arguably the most successful podcast that there is. It's the most listened to on iTunes. Yeah. Odd that they would first of all poach him and that he would take it. I think this is going to suck for him. I mean, not that because I do pay.
Why
by the way,
he's doing it.
By the way, I am a Spotify user. I pay for Spotify Premium. It's just not how I listen to things. Like I've got my podcast app where everything is organized, and it's got nice features like a sleep timer, which I really like. I use that when I go to bed.
So Judd is saying that only the audio form. So YouTube will still have the video.
That is not not according to this. It says we will still have clips up on YouTube, but the full version of the show will only be on Spotify. So no, that is wrong.
Okay, so they're doing partials.
Yeah, they're going to do clips, but the according to this, the YouTube. It says this is a quote from Joe Rogan's thing. We will still have clips up on YouTube, but the full versions of the show will be only on Spotify. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Their stock jumped 8.5% with this news. So, interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks.
Do you think he's kind of over it?
I honestly, he can be now because I'm sure this is going to be instead of having to, not that he has to beg and claw for advertisers, but I would, Brian,
but that
I would say
is a serious part of the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just shows up.
Yeah, well, exactly. So this may be more of a thing for him. I mean, Joe Rogan's no spring chicken. He's in his he's in his early 50s. He does the show 5 or 6 days a week. He flies around the world doing UFC events. If Spotify
I think it is
came to him
because he makes money off of On It. He makes money doing UFC things like this. He does his traveling with his comedy tours.
Oh yeah, he's a comedian. I forgot about that whole thing. Yeah.
He can sit there and for him this is just a chunk of his income, and so I think that if they offered him enough, he's like, all right, whatever. If it fails, if it makes it to where I have some less listeners, what's the difference? He has all these other forms of income. He doesn't have to bank everything on this working.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. Every once in a while, I will send my father a link to a Joe Rogan episode because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now? He's gonna have to go make a Spotify account he doesn't. I don't think he uses Spotify. He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to go get a Spotify account to listen. He's not gonna do that. Now, obviously, Joe doesn't care because who cares? But I'm just thinking of little things like that. That I don't know. I enjoy being able to. I enjoy being able to listen to Joe on multiple different platforms.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think I have Spotify installed on my cell phone right now, and I like apps that work well with my Android Auto in my car. And the app that I use for listening to podcasts works perfectly for that.
What do you use?
And so that's
Overcast or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And so it works well. And and I have everything through there and the interface and all that. So I don't know. It probably will affect how much I listen to them. And I usually just kind of pick and choose special topics or speakers that I enjoy. I don't listen to every single episode he does.
Yeah.
But this will be to where I'm probably very much less likely to see one of his episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So according to this, the deal was worth more than $100 million. It's a multi-year deal. So I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much covers his needs for any sponsors he would have had during that time.
Yeah. So
I doubt he was making more than $100 million on his pre-reads.
Well, over years, I'm sure he was. That's a multi-year deal. Yeah. So interesting stuff there on the podcast side. I can't wait to hear No Agenda talk about this. The Podfather himself talking about companies
leaving
podcasting.
The base technology.
Essentially leaving RSS. Essentially is what he's doing. Pretty crazy. Nick would fire B for $100 million. Yeah, but that's
would you
totally
fire me
different.
for $100 million?
Yeah, I mean, I'd kill you for $100 million, and you would do the exact same thing to me. And if you said you wouldn't, you're a damn liar.
No, I wouldn't actually, but
you would.
I would kill anybody for anything.
You're telling me if somebody offered you $100 million, and now this is no like, oh, you'd go to jail kind of thing. If they handed you $100 million and a gun, and me standing there, you wouldn't pull the trigger?
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
I'm not driven by money, so
I'm not driven by money either. But $100 million is a generation changing amount of income.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather not be rich.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll tell you what. If somebody wants to offer me $100 million, I'll kill Brian. Right? Oh, okay, all right. Okay, enough of this. Let's get to some gaming news. Brian, let's talk about your boys over at Epic. They had a big time, an epic fail this week. GTA 5, which by the way, now I own 4 copies of Xbox 360, Xbox One, Steam, and Epic Games. They gave away what's the limited edition called? The collector's edition or what? Complete edition, something like that.
Something like that. I don't remember.
They gave that away on Epic Game Store for free. I don't know how long that lasts, but it was enough hype because not just did the Epic Game Store crash, but the whole Epic launcher apparently crapped out, including Fortnite, the Fortnite launcher. People were unable to play Fortnite. It was a disaster.
Which I think is strange. And now I understand probably what happened, but I think it's strange because they'll do online prior to this. What, a week ago, they did an in-game concert where there was like millions and millions of people simultaneously logged into Fortnite.
Yeah. And
it didn't crash. Now with this, they had to go to the PC launcher. So you can tell they definitely have things segmented because obviously the console stuff does not touch any of the servers that are being touched by the PC players. But obviously they have an issue with load balancing and they're not optimized because there's tons of issues with their store. It's slow, like it should be responsive and fast, and it's not. And so hopefully this makes them kind of realize, oh, well, maybe we have some issues with our store because it could use some major improvements as far as performance and just pulling up and doing things quickly. Because sometimes with purchases, you'll click and you'll have to wait like 10 seconds and then it'll process.
Yeah, so it was a huge disaster, like an unmitigated disaster, and honestly, from Epic, kind of unexcusable. Now, obviously, things like this happen, but this wasn't a surprise. Like, this was a planned event that they knew was coming up, and they obviously had not stress tested their payment processing or whatever at a certain point, because it was
and this is where I'm really hoping that they will now use this as a lesson and go through and actually optimize their store before they try to do something like this.
Yeah, because I mean, it was just like, it was down. What day did they had this? Was this Friday? I think when this started, Thursday or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that?
just like 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh my God, it was a freaking mess. Like, it was down all day or all night, whatever time it came out. It was like, and then they were putting out tweets like, "Oh, try if it says you can't purchase it, try it again in 24 hours." And it's like, that's your solution? Is let a 24-hour timer click down? Like, come on, guys. You know, you want to, they want to be Steam. They want to be the big competitor, and they fell flat on their face with this. And this is not some small-time company, right? This is not, not that Origin or Uplay are small companies, right? EA and Ubisoft are huge, but their claim to fame is not their store, right? It's just where they sell their shit. Epic is like, we will be Steam. We are going to be Steam. Well, then you got to act like Steam.
Yeah.
And when you do a free weekend for
this has happened in the past with Steam, where things have kind of overloaded, but they fixed it and it hasn't happened since, so hopefully this is their learning moment.
I agree. So I thought that was rather interesting. It is, by the way, it is free. So if you have an Epic Game account, which is also free, you can go ahead and get Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know why there was such a hype for it. I mean, I think everybody already owns GTA. It's been on sale. It's been out for 6 years. 7 years, 8. I don't even know. The game's been out since like 2012. I think the game's literally been out in 8 years. So I'm not sure why there was such a jump for it. Did you get it?
Yeah, I picked it up.
Why?
But I have it on PS4. Yeah. I have it on Xbox. I have it on PC, and now I have it again on PC. So I have now 4 copies.
So why did you get it?
I don't know. I always just get the free games on there to go to my account. Because you know me, I'm a game hoarder.
Yeah, I got it too. I went to the store and I was like, I'm not going to get this. And then Epic updated or something like that. Or I don't remember what happened, but it was like in my task tray or something like that. And I was like, oh, let me get GTA. Let me get GTA real quick. So I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure why there was such a hype for it, but free things, I guess they will come. So, kind of an unfortunate thing with Epic, but I'm sure they will learn, and hopefully that does not happen again.
So there's a few other things that happened. First of all, they did a video that teased their upcoming Unreal Engine 5.
Oh.
And they did it on the PlayStation 5 hardware.
Okay.
So this video, I wasn't expecting it. Like, it just kind of came out of the blue, but I was pretty impressed with some of the technology and things that they were showing in this. Especially, the kicker is they showed it on a PlayStation 5, which a lot of times you could do some sort of a tech demo and they could put it on hardware that's just inconceivable for your average person to buy. 128 core machine, with 4 2080 video cards. I mean, stupid stuff, right? No, this was done on a PlayStation 5 hardware. So that for me made it very real, because it told me, oh, this is obtainable tech.
Yeah, of course.
So what they're doing is something that will be obtainable, a year from now once it's released. And so let's play this. They talk through it, and I think it's quality enough to play through the whole thing.
Okay.
But I want to kind of have you jump through afterwards. I want to jump to some areas just to kind of point out why some of these things are as impressive as they are.
Okay, let's take a look at it. Unreal Engine 5 on the PS5.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games. Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, art director of the special project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static, and I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
And we call this new system Lumen. And we're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward. Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. We could directly use film quality assets and bring them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Awesome, let's take a look at it.
This has to be the right way.
Before we continue, let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Quixel Megascan assets, but instead of using the game versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each, and thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What does that many triangles look like? This isn't noise. These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel, which means triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic. With the power of Lumen, that even includes multi-bounce global illumination. No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone. With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and the bounce changes instantly. Okay, let's keep going. We've made some great additions to our audio system as well. Convolution reverb allows us to measure reverberation characteristics of real spaces, like actual caves that we sampled, and reproduce them in virtual spaces. Sound field rendering allows us to record and playback spatialized audio. All of this adds up to a more immersive experience. This swarm of bats was created with our Niagara effects system. Particles in Niagara can now talk to one another and understand their environment like never before. We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below. The demo runs on our chaos physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf. Now that the environment is so complex, we've needed to greatly improve our animation systems to adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Looks promising.
Dynamic GI is amazing, not just for speeding up iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
Nice.
Any light source can move while
It
still
might
having
be.
beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces. You can even see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry. Remember we mentioned high poly assets? This statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles. No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs. And we can do more than a single statue. There are nearly 500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room, for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone. Over this entire demo, there are hundreds of billions of triangles. So with Nanite, you have limitless geometry, and with Lumen, you have fully dynamic lighting and global illumination, all running on a PlayStation 5.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
The portal, it's open. Don't fail me now.
It's time to see what's next.
All right, Brian. So Unreal Engine 5 looks pretty, looks pretty cool. Seems like it could do some cool stuff. I don't really have anything else to say about that. I mean, it's, obviously I will say this. I know you're very excited about this. Obviously these are highly produced. So I'm not saying it's not accurate, but this is the best possible case scenario, right? Right. This is the ideal situation. These are the people that know the engine the best. They wrote it. Like this is the most optimized this is as good as it gets, right? Like this is peak level, right?
Yeah, but the thing is they weren't doing things in the most optimized manner. Like for instance, those statues.
Yeah.
The poly count on those are just unbelievable compared to what's allowed today. And so they're showing off one of the more extreme examples. I don't know if they know the exact point at where it starts breaking. And so they're like, all right, we can fit these, this many statues in here. Because the whole, for the most part, the poly count thing for me is probably the biggest move forward. When they're showing objects in the world with what seems like minimal performance loss, that is one thing that will drastically change. I saw an article from PC Gamer, and they said, "Oh, this isn't really going to have any kind of an impact on gaming." I was like, "Are you insane?" First of all, they don't. They must. I'm surprised they're PC Gamer when they have very little. They must have no knowledge of PC game development, because when you're developing a game, the things that you're looking at when you're putting models into the game over and over again and trying to make work is the amount of geometry in the scene. And you saw they're pretty much showing you the doesn't matter how much geometry you have in the scene. They're virtually taking that scene, somehow taking it down to the level and making it to where visibly you don't see a difference. Because if you go here and you look at first of all, the ground there, they zoom forward and they show the scans of those objects. Those are the things that we announced however many months ago. Remember the textures and things, that the ground textures that they started offering for free on Unreal Engine. These are those scans, and they usually have two different versions. They have a gaming version, and then they have one that is used for people that are making scenes for visualizing buildings and things that are
graphics.
They take time to render, for
VFX work,
architectural and things like that, or for movies will take the time to render those out, but you can't do them in real time. Well, here they're showing the equivalent of a movie scene that they would have a server farm for being rendered in real time. Here, people were giving them a hard time about this scene where they're cutting through as a loading screen, because for various games, God of War, for example, does this a lot, to do a loading scene, to do a loading of a level, that whenever you go through those kind of set points where you crawl through a tight space or you do pretty much a cut scene, it's then loading the level during that cut scene. So this here, they did clarify. They said that was not a cut scene. They were just showing you the dynamic, putting your hand up against the thing. They were showing off animation. That there are no cut scenes. There's no things in here transitioning you to the next level. And a lot of it, they do show some things that people probably didn't catch. They talked about how they're making animation more realistic, doing things that are not such pre-cut. You somehow setting objects, like you go put your hand against this door and making that easier. The audio for people, you can't really hear it when it's not on nice headphones, but doing a lot of the audio to where it's taking in account, hey, this is a large cave, and they will automatically make the audio sound like that. Then one thing, I sent you some images, and I just wanted to show an example of kind of how a lot of the games you would see now are taking care of poly counts.
Could you send lower resolution images? These pictures are like 400 pixels big.
Oh,
they look terrible.
These ones, they are smaller.
Let's roll with it.
Okay, so you can see there's kind of an average thing you would see in the world, but if you get up close to it, you'll see that there's a lot of lines. When they're dealing with objects, especially circles, squares, you'll see a lot of one thing that will change is you will start seeing a lot less square objects, because people will put square objects in because they're the most efficient. Putting in round objects, you can see, for instance, on the tower and on the stairs, how they're doing this weird kind of pattern to make an object round. It's not really a round object. It just has however many sides that you can handle, and then it will make the object out of that many angles. Like a stop sign would be the basic, and then you get the more angles you do, but it becomes less efficient. Well, with Unreal Engine 5, you should be able just to make it exactly how you want to be, with full circles and incredible detail, and it should render out at high performance without having to sit there and do all those particular lines and make it small. So I think it will make a big difference on what kind of games you see, what the games look like.
Now, but hold on. How could you say it's not? Like, this is the next iteration of an engine, right? Like, of course it's going to make things better. How long? Like,
okay, of an engine, but they're doing things that no other engine has been able to do.
No, I get that, but I don't see how, like you just mentioned that PC Gamer article, I don't see how anybody could say, oh, there's not going to be a major improvement. I mean, you're talking about a You can look at the original Unreal engines, right? When they would split the video into 2 frames, essentially, the upper half and the lower half of the video, and render it like that. I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
So I mean, this will make it to where when one thing that we talk about, remember when we have something and it's like the image of something they're going to be putting into the game.
Yes, and it always looks great. Yeah,
it looks perfect, and then they put it in the game, and then it's like, oh, well, it doesn't look like that.
Well,
this will make it to where what's in the game is identical to what you see in that image.
Okay, but I've got a counterpoint.
Okay.
These games are going to be like 17 terabytes. I mean, there is a reason.
Yes. Games are going to be getting bigger and bigger.
Well, yeah,
with
but
this.
I say, but that's not. But that's a problem. That's a huge problem. Not just from an internet issue, but from a storage issue. And if you're looking at these new generation consoles, I mean, there's already issues now with the Xbox and PlayStation. And I'm not saying that, but Brian, you've probably seen. Well, you've definitely seen this in your lifetime, Brian. When you first were using computers, programs were very well written because they had very limited system resources to deal with. Now, who gives a shit what the optimization is? Everybody, I mean, I've got a freaking 24-core computer. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if it takes some extra CPU cycles? It's irrelevant. So I just hope that I hope that doesn't become I mean, you're already seeing game, like literally GTA 5's already 90 gigabytes. That game was written 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have 200 3 400 gigabyte games.
So there's kind of 2 pieces to this right now. PH brings up LODs, the levels of details, all these different images and variations of a single object that are then repeated so that they can have high quality versions for when you're right next to it and low quality versions when you're far away. This should be something that probably they'll be doing more on the fly, and they kind of do that anyways. With this technology, you shouldn't have to create all those extra versions. That'll be a slight size down, but then they'll just be putting in the super high quality versions that we haven't seen up to this point yet. And so those will be gigantic. I'm sure they'll be doing some sort of techniques to compress these as much as they can, because you don't need a 2 billion pixel or, try object in the game in general. I think they're doing that more for just the testing, but this will change. They're bringing up in chat, they're bringing up LODs, and they're bringing up occlusion culling and all these different things that they do. It'll be interesting to see how this changes the kind of games that you see, because what you saw there looked a lot. I mean, it was a very high quality version of kind of like the top games that we've seen up this point. God of War has a lot of the similar features of that, but every single scene in God of War is highly optimized. And if you get close to an object, you will see how it doesn't have the detail. They don't expect you to walk up and stare at an object. In any object that you're going to be seeing, like the weapons and things on the back, they make those high quality so that the thing that you're staring at all the time is high quality. Yeah. But then objects around the world are low quality. And now you'll be able to have those high quality objects everywhere. So it'll be interesting, but space is something because especially with people leaving discs and going to download. I mean, we've seen, for me, I can get gigabit internet and I can get it in a reasonable amount of time. But you will be running into space limitations on devices. You'll be having people hitting bandwidth caps. There will be a lot of issues that this could potentially do. And I think that's going to be more of our limiting factor now, is what is acceptable to the market to be able to put out there, because people aren't going to want a 1 terabyte. And the devices that we're buying don't have that much space anyways. These are being run on SSDs. If you can't fit it on the SSD, you're going to lose a bunch of the performance. Yeah. Like, there are factors that still are in play due to physical hardware. This is a major software upgrade, but there are going to be some major hardware limitations, whether it be the actual device it's on or the internet and all these other factors that play into it connected.
Agreed. So. Well, very cool. Thanks for bringing that to us, Brian. I hadn't seen that yet. So something to look forward to. Phantom asks, is this going to be on PC too? My thought would be that it would be on PC Generation 2. So we're very excited to have PC 2 on the market with Xbox One X and PlayStation 5. So, Nice. PC 2.
Very good.
Coming soon. Let's talk about 7 Days to Die real quick. We've got some other news we'll get into, but Brian, it appears imminent. I feel like at this point we've been saying this for about 6 months now. But
I think that he hinted at a date, and I'll
see.
I
don't think he did, but
I wasn't sure.
Get to that. No, I don't. I think you're wrong. But
I could be, but I wasn't. I was curious.
Let's look at this. So this is actually cool. This is a scene. This is a zombie in front of a new store, a bookstore. This looks much more like a miscreated than a 7 Days to Die.
Yeah.
This store
Especially
seems
where
much.
You have to remember everything is modular in this game.
Let me tell you what did it for me. The brick, this textured brick on the side of the store is not something that you traditionally saw in 7 Days to Die. Pretty much flat textures. Now they'd have patterns in them, but they looked pretty much flat, like just like a sandpaper style thing. These individual, and obviously they're not individuals, it's still a texture, but that makes such a big, like you can see the difference. Look at these just regular tan, let me zoom in on these. You can see these regular tan columns versus the ones that have the brick all the way up.
Yep. That
makes a huge difference in how polished something looks. And previously the entire game looked like those columns on the left where it was a gradient at the texture, but this looks great. This looks really, really good. And the zombie looks great too.
Yeah, and I think them hiring on that developer, now they're actually creating all the necessary files. Because before they were just throwing a flat image onto an object, and here you go. Because everything is done in squares, similar to Minecraft, or except for the ground, which is voxel.
Yeah.
But this is something where now they're actually putting the textures and putting bumps onto it and making it to where if you go up to it, it looks more like a brick and not just a picture of a brick, which makes a big difference when you're in game and kind of just the feel of it. So it's nice to see that they're actually going through and doing a lot of these objects correctly now. Because before, Joel, who is one of the lead guys there, he was just making images. Who knows? I mean, it seems like in Paint, what could have been using anything, but he would just make an image, throw it onto a block, and be like, "Here you go. Here is a brick block," and it looked horrible. So
agreed.
I think now we'll be seeing it much better.
All right, let's look at these next set of pictures and let's hear your conspiracy theory.
Okay.
So what are we looking at here?
Well, okay, so you see where it says day 21, and I'm more look at his what he says though in his tweet, because he says something about getting ready for battle on day 21. Let the fun begin testing A19. I think that on the 21st that they're going to begin testing of A19.
So you think Thursday?
I think that they're going to have it. Maybe it goes out to the streamers, whatever that process is that they do. Or remember they asked for testers. They sent out that thing asking for how many years have you played? What alpha did you play on? All that stupid stuff. I think that the 21st is when they're starting that.
See, I think it's just because it was day 21 in game, which is a day of
might be
which is a 7 day. An octave of 7. I don't know how that what that is, but it is a 7th day.
It's the third week. So this is one of the Hell Nights, whatever they are, the blood moons.
Yep. So you think
one thing you will notice in here, they've done you look at the icons first of all. It looks so much better, compared to what we used to have.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
And also, if you go to the lower left of it, you can see some of the stats. Is there a way you can get down to the very lower left of the image?
Yeah, in a second.
Because on there, you can see that they're displaying more information. Like above the center taskbar, they have your level, whatever your level is. But I think they have food and water, if I remember correctly, in the very lower left hand of that image.
Yeah, so like that.
Yes. There was somewhere. Oh, it's the very bottom of the taskbar. You can see there's two bars down there.
The green and blue bar. Yeah, I noticed that. Okay, that's cool. I like, and then the top bar is your experience, I believe.
Yeah, as your experience. Yeah. So they're kind of working on their UI as well. Little things that you would have noticed. It'd be interesting to see what the other
food and water's always
like.
been an issue. I couldn't tell you how many times I've accidentally either almost died or died because you're just not thinking of looking at your food, and then next thing you know, you're in the middle of a battle and you're like, oh crap, I'm getting killed and I don't have anything to eat. So cool.
Yeah. And the sky, like in that image, the way the sky looks, I mean, just everything, they've done a good job of really bringing the game up to more standard graphics level of what you would expect. And where before it was just incredibly horrible. I mean, it was bad.
It was an abomination. So good on them. I'm patiently waiting. I tell you what, this would be the perfect time to release a game. Now here's the thing. Typical 7 Days to Die fashion, Brian. They had everybody locked down at their homes. Like, people cannot go out and do anything. And what's going to end up happening is this is going to release like right as people are able to go back out and do things, and nobody's going to want to play it because nobody's going to want to.
They need to get. That's what I'm saying. They on the 21st, like they need to do it now. Like they need to do it soon, before, because things are starting to open up, and this is their opportunity to really get people excited and playing this.
Yeah.
Where
Agreed.
if you do it in 3 weeks when people are able to go out into the sun, like people are going to do that.
Agree completely. So good on them. Hopefully we'll have it sooner rather than later.
Yes. So you put an article here about Doom Eternal and a new anti-cheat system, and I know that some people had posted screenshots and various things of this.
Yeah, so I actually bought Doom Eternal a couple weeks ago. I installed it. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But I wanted to discuss something. I just wanted to discuss this briefly. So it's got this anti-cheat called De Novo on it. And I'm not going to... the article will be in the show notes if you want to read all about it. But essentially, this anti-cheat runs at the kernel level when you launch the game.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Brian, this has caused people on the internet to lose their minds. Any driver that you have on your computer runs at the kernel level. There's a lot of things on your computer that run at the kernel level. And I'm not saying I prefer to have something running at that highest level of access, but it's not a rarity. And when I'm reading this article on Ars Technica and let me see if I can find it. Some stupid jackass, some Reddit user, of course, says, no piece of software, especially an anti-cheat, should have kernel-level access to your system. And if it is, we should have been informed before we purchased it. So you're telling me you wouldn't purchase Doom Eternal because the anti-cheat, which by the way is not a virus, right? It's not like it's been exploited, right? It's not like it's some backdoor Trojan, right? It's a totally legit antivirus. You're not going to buy the game because... Now, I could see if it installed this antivirus and then there was an exploit and people's computers are getting rootkitted, that's a whole nother conversation. This, from all measure, appears to be a completely clean anti-cheat system. And you're going to tell me that you would not purchase Doom Eternal because of the
and
anti-cheat?
It's an anti-piracy as well. So it's
there's two different products.
Anti-piracy.
Yeah, but those are two different products. So the anti-piracy has been out for forever. This anti-cheat is relatively new. But I just love the outrage culture of gamers on the internet. You see it all the time. And this is just another... I don't care. But you're really going to tell me, Brian, you would not purchase a game because of the anti-cheat that it's running? Do you just stop? Does anybody actually believe that? Is anybody believing this jackass on Reddit? I mean, come on, folks.
Yeah,
now, again,
it really,
as PH
it
says,
really depends.
Anti-cheats that's had Bitcoin miners in it, that's one thing. If it's an anti-cheat that's got issues, right? Like it's doing crazy things in the background, it's using your system resources, that's fine. But there's no evidence of that. And until there's evidence of that, I have a really hard time saying, I wouldn't have purchased it. Really? You're telling me you would have read about the anti-cheat before purchasing it? Come on. I mean, get real.
Well, and this is something where
Your NVIDIA software runs at the kernel level. It's a driver software.
But I think Death Stranding, for example, uses this DRM as well, or is going to be using this DRM.
But the DRM side is different. The DRM side is completely different.
But I'm sure it still runs at the same level. I'm sure they're both running at kernel level to be able to actually enforce this.
Yeah, I'm not, obviously people can do whatever they want, but this whole, this outrage about everything is so freaking annoying. Get over it. I mean, seriously, people are acting like this is the most insane thing they've ever heard. You would not believe how many applications have kernel access to your system.
Yeah.
By the way, including NVIDIA. I don't see any articles about installing NVIDIA drivers. That's my point. Is it's just like, if you're going to be pissed about something, be pissed about something relevant.
Yeah.
But you can't opt out of it. I understand you can't opt because it's but there's no exploit in it. Right? It's not malware. It's not a rootkit. Now, if it turns out it is a rootkit, that's fine, then it's a different conversation. But it's not. It's not an issue.
I'm more concerned. Because they're talking about, it has multiple pieces to it. It collects data on people. I think that's where some people are concerned about its data collection, which they say does not happen outside of multiplayer matches.
Now, that's a whole different conversation, Brian. Privacy is one thing. Not wanting to install it because it runs at the kernel level is a totally different thing. If you want to talk about privacy and stuff, that's fine. I'll have the privacy conversation with you any day. But don't write, I saw article after article after article about kernel drivers, big scary kernel, deep system access. Ooh! And it's like, come on,
but the thing is
seriously.
to do some of these things, you need that level of access to do it efficiently and correctly. One thing that, you've probably noticed on Microsoft, a lot of people going to Microsoft's antivirus. Well, one of the reasons is because it has kernel level access to the system to be able to prevent viruses and detect them. The other ones use hacks, like equivalent of hacking their way into be able to getting some sort of access to do antivirus.
They do file hooks, which in my opinion is way bigger of a security risk.
Yeah. And so I think here, if we are going to get to the point, because I talked about, I remember speaking about this at least a year ago, saying for anti-cheat and all this anti-stuff to be effective, they're going to have to work with Microsoft and actually integrate into the operating system for this to happen. And this is an example of that. And I know that it's scary because anybody getting higher level of access, could be a concern. But the only way that you're going to be able to prevent other people from having the same level of access is by letting these processes have that level of access and blocking everything else out. So I don't know. I think that it's necessary, and I think that some people are freaked out about what could happen. I don't know that I like a game having kernel level access, but to do these actual preventative methods of preventing people from hooking into the process and injecting things and getting data that they shouldn't be getting, it has to be kernel level access. So it's kind of a two-way street. There is a risk that if someone were to take advantage of that, they would have kernel level access to your system.
Yeah.
But it's one of the only ways you can truly prevent cheating.
Agreed. And the same people that are probably bitching about this having kernel level access are the same people that are like, there's no good anti-cheat on the market. Here's the thing. You can have your opinion. I've got mine. Brian's got his. You all have yours. That's fine. But can we please be outraged about actual things? Like, seriously, guys. Like, this is your issue right now? NVIDIA is the exact... What stops the NVIDIA issue? The NVIDIA graphics drive has got kernel level access. It runs on system startup. It's got the same level of access as something like this. And here's the big difference between this and other software. It only runs when the game is active. Unlike other drivers that run from startup. They're launched at the kernel. They run the entire time the PC is up. This doesn't do that.
Well, I think in the long run, this will be proven to be the better method. But I think it's going to take, as I said before, it's going to take Microsoft starting to take this seriously and working with them. And I think Microsoft has been becoming much more serious about PC gaming, with bringing over games that are on Xbox and having them also available, and having their pass that they have for the Xbox has PC games in it, and you can play those back and forth.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be taking it more seriously, and I think that the way that they're going to have to do that is coming up with ways for anti-cheat to be integrated into the operating system. I think that's the only way that you're going to see a downtick in cheating is to be able to do this. And people don't like how this is doing, but Microsoft's going to have to start integrating. All right, here is where your anti-cheat goes in the operating system. Just like your antivirus has a place in the operating system, your anti-cheat is there as well, so that it can't be tampered with, because that's the biggest thing. And the biggest risk that people are complaining about is if it's tampered with. Well, Microsoft's going to have to help with that to make sure it's not.
Yeah. I just wish people would be upset until there's an issue, I just have a hard time saying, oh, well, some people don't like this. Okay.
Yeah.
But why? Right? Like, typically you have to, like, I would ask a reason. Like, why? Why don't you? Oh, well, because it has kernel level. Yeah, but why? Why is that an issue? Oh, it's a security risk. Oh, wait, okay. And 95% of other things you have installed on your PC aren't a security risk?
No.
I'm asking a serious question, Brian.
Even the way that antivirus has been done up to this point has been a security risk. The fact that Microsoft opens up those hooks, that opens up those things so anti-cheat can have a deeper level access into the system rather than be able just to lock it down, that is a problem. And I think that this is what this kind of way that they're handling this is to prevent that type of thing. They're running it at a higher level, which if all the anti-cheats did this, then Microsoft would be able to lock down the operating system more, preventing things like this from happening.
I just can't imagine being upset about this. I can't even fathom it. I mean, we're literally talking about the biggest issue in PC gaming is cheaters. And this is something.
But one thing that this does, they make a comment in here that this does not block cheats, mods, developer tools, anything. It purely detects cheats. So it's just a way of detecting them, which I assume then they, do bans or make adjustments to their code to prevent. So it should not affect any way that the game is actually performing. They talked about how some of the other ones have performance impacts. This will probably have the normal level of performance impact. I don't think it'll be anything crazy.
No. So I just saw multiple articles about this. People in our Discord were talking. I was all over Reddit, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess obviously somebody cares. So, so there you go. Make sure now when you're buying a game, make sure you check on what anti-cheat it's using, because obviously that is a huge issue people are checking out when they.
If they care, just get everything on console. I don't know.
And yeah, problem solved. There you go. I like your idea, bro.
You don't have to deal with it.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay. What else we got? Gaming news here.
Amazon's going to be doing a tech event tomorrow.
Amazon.
So
okay. What are they doing?
So they announced they're hosting a game tech event for game devs tomorrow. So if you're into game development, you're interested in game development, Smedley actually tweeted it out, and it'll be an online event that you can do. I'll have a link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out. But it's called the Digital Download, and it's got a lot of just tech things. They're talking about AWS. We haven't heard a lot from their game studio portion, so this will be interesting to see what they have to say.
Excellent.
So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to mention it. Maybe people happen to be at their computers, which they should be. It seems like most people are. And if you are, you're more than welcome to go. And I think I'm sure they'll record it, but they said they'll have over 15 technical demos, and a number of other things going on. So,
all right, Brian, let's talk about Fallout 76 real quick. There's a couple things. There's a big patch, but there's also a roadmap, which is cool. Not something you'd necessarily expect to see from Fallout, but this is their 2020 roadmap that all of these things will be coming before the end of the year. And it, it includes some of the they've got a summer season, a fall season, then their wintered season. But they are doing a sort of battle royale, battle pass sort of thing with this, with tiered content unlocks. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know why Bethesda doesn't just take this horse out back and shoot it. I mean, this is this is an abomination at this point. And I know I talked about the game a couple weeks ago, and how I tried it and it was all right. But I mean, it's literally got it's literally got a roadmap system and a season.
Yeah. And
you go through this thing like it's a board game to collect different. I mean, look at this thing. It's like the Candyland, the board game that everybody played as they were children, and you go through this to get different things.
So those the 100 levels, pretty much.
Yeah. This.
Okay.
What are they thinking?
Well, they probably got an uptick in players, right?
Yeah, they obviously did.
So they're probably now, how can we financially take advantage of this? Because people are finally playing our game. And so they put this out there quickly. Because I'm sure that they time this.
Let me just read this directly from their blog. Brian, I want you to close your eyes so I can read this to you.
Okay.
We're excited to share an in-depth preview of our new season system with you, which brings a new account-wide progression system to Fallout 76 that will overhaul our current challenges and help you rake in lots of new rewards along the way. This is our take on a season pass.
Okay.
What? Who was asking for this?
How do they make money on it otherwise?
You're not. You released a crappy game that nobody wanted to play.
They want to make money.
Oh my God. This is just, what are they thinking? What are they thinking?
So it sounds like, for instance, during the Wasteland for All, during the fall, they'll have a bombs drop event. I assume that there's probably something that kind of clears out the whole world and starts it over at the end of each season. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but we'll see. I mean, they're adding in perks, boss events, repeatable missions. You can build instanced interiors, which is interesting. So it's kind of like your own private base.
It's kind of cool.
Once you go inside, it will be something that is private to you. And then a bunch of new quest lines. So I don't know. We'll see if it's actually something that's better. I don't think that's a thing. Their Wastelanders thing is supposedly better.
But you have to pay for this. It's a season pass. The first season, summer is going to be free, and then fall and winter are going to be paid for. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say. I feel like
they're trying to make money. They're trying to figure out how to recover some of the money that they lost in this.
I mean, Brian, I can go make money too by standing on the street corner and begging for money, or I can go and get a job.
Or they're trying to fix the game to make it to where it's sellable.
One makes a lot more sense to me. I mean, this is just...
Are there a lot of people playing this game on a regular basis? I mean, I just haven't heard or seen it. Generally, season passes are when a game has people playing daily.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this game is being played daily. I haven't met anybody who has.
PH says this is almost as good as the Calling's new business model. Yeah. Pay for a game and can play it once a day. I mean, it's just like, who is sitting in a board meeting or a boardroom and pitching these ideas now here's the thing. This is what I used to think about the video game industry. And as I see more and more and more of these asinine systems coming out, Brian, I'm starting to wonder if the video game industry isn't actually I'm wondering if the people in the video game industry don't actually play video games anymore. Right? See, that was like the cool thing about the video game industry back in the probably through the 80s and the 90s, and it seemed to me, at least through the early 2000s, was the people that were making the games We're video gamers. I can't imagine anybody making this decision that is that has played video games for any period of time and going,
or play
what's a great idea?
Especially.
Well, any game, and saying, wow, you know what's a great idea? We're going to charge you for a season pass to unlock different things. You're going to get different prizes through playing a season pass in an RPG.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's definitely a different model than what you would expect. I mean, I haven't seen a season pass in this type of a game that has this type of mechanics. Yeah.
It makes sense in a battle royale, kind of. Because there is no story. There is no progression, right? It kind of makes sense. I get it. I don't agree with it. I don't take part in it.
Yeah, and PH brings up, remember that Fallout First as well? They have the Fallout First, which gives you the private servers.
Servers, but you don't need that.
No, but I'm saying that, so this is the second thing they've done to try to make money off of
yeah.
this.
I don't. I'm over it. I'm over it.
It'll be interesting. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to try playing this game. I just don't know.
I played it
if I want
once.
To bother with it.
Couple weeks ago, whenever I said I was going to play it, I did, and that was it. It's all she wrote.
Maybe I'll just wait for the next Fallout.
Yeah, if there is another Fallout, I mean, I
can't imagine this totally destroying them.
Well, I mean, true.
But the thing is I when this first came out, the thing that I pointed out was this has opened people's eyes to Bethesda. And it has pointed out Bethesda is not perfect. Because before, Bethesda could release all kinds of stuff. People loved it, even though there was tons of graphical issues, glitches, everything else. It was just part of Bethesda. But I think with this one, when they did Fallout 76, it really changed the mindset of people towards Bethesda. And now Bethesda can do wrong. So I think they have to be much more careful at this point.
Agreed. They are under the microscope.
Yep. And I think this is going to affect them going forward for upcoming versions.
As it should.
And how are they going to make money? What other games do they have out? Because we talked about
Doom.
How last week, Doom, but we talked about last week how what's that game?
Oblivion?
Yeah, but it has another name.
Skyrim
6 is it, or whatever. Skyrim, the next one is going to be years away. So
yeah,
they've got to Elder Scrolls 6. They're going to have to come up with ways to make money between now and Elder Scrolls 6, because that's a very expensive game, but it's still years out. And I don't know what other real games they have coming up soon. They're going to make a ton of money that they're putting out in the next year or 2 years even.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Another riveting tale in the world of Bethesda, I guess. I don't know what to say at this point. I could just kind of feel like it's just a lost cause.
Hey, we'll see if it takes off. Maybe we'll be wrong, but I have a feeling that it won't.
Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate.
So, all right. Do you have a preference on where we go from here?
No, sir. What do we got? Actually, I do. Can we do a game giveaway?
Yeah, I'll get it started if you want to.
So let's talk about everybody's favorite battle royale, the game that started it all, PUBG. They showed a video a couple weeks ago where it was the April Fool's joke that they did, I think. And they showed the jerry can, which is a gas can, and they've made some changes to that, and there's a couple of other things as well. And there's a short little video here talking about their update here. This is the 7.2 update for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Season 7 is in full swing, but the updates don't stop with the revamped Vikendi. Update 7.2 brings new balance changes, the long-awaited rank mode, and a new way to make some lit plays with jerrycan improvements. We're also adding AI to the game with this update, but as stated before, there will be no bots in ranked mode. Let's get right into it. One of the most highly requested community features has been a proper ranked mode, so we're excited to launch our ranked season beta with update 7.2. Ranked mode replaces the previous survival title system and works a bit differently. First of all, you'll still go through a series of placement matches when you start. But after that, your rank will rise and fall depending on your game performance. You'll also have to enter a special ranked queue in order to get credit for your game. You can find the ranked option under the play section of the main menu. Ranked matches will be available in both FPP and TPP squads, and you can choose 1, 2, or 3-person squads as well. A maximum of 64 players will drop in each match on either Erangel, Miramar, or Sanhok. Loot pools are a bit different as well, with more loot in general and a higher focus on more desirable weapons such as ARs. The blue zone pace is also different, and thanks to your very clear feedback, red zones will not occur in ranked mode. As you climb the ranks, your tier will increase, giving you access to additional rewards at the end of the season, with a special extra reward for the top 500 players. There's too much to go over here, but you can learn more about ranked mode in the patch notes and our upcoming dev letter. Along with ranked mode comes the Season 7 balance shuffle for weapons. Shotguns are getting a buff to accuracy, effective range, and hit multipliers, while some underpowered ARs are also getting a few tweaks. The M16 and the Mutant will have decreased recoil in both burst and semi-auto, while the barrel is getting decreased recoil as well, along with increased muzzle velocity. We've toned down the M416 slightly, decreasing its base damage by 1, lowering its muzzle velocity and adjusting its damage curve distances a bit. It's not a drastic nerf, but should lessen the gap between it and the newly rebalanced ARs. There are a number of other changes, so check out the patch notes to see everything. One last thing. We've added fun new ways to utilize jerry cans. By equipping the jerry can in your melee slot, you can pour gasoline out by using the normal attack button. There's about 7 seconds worth of gas in each can, and spilled fuel evaporates after a few minutes. That still leaves plenty of time to set your ambush. Gasoline is ignited by gunshots, grenade explosions, and Molotovs, causing the area to burn for roughly 20 seconds, and dealing the same damage as a Molotov would. You can also throw the can as you would a melee weapon, causing it to spill some gas upon landing, making it a bit easier to ignite and explode. Jerry cans can't be picked up after being thrown, so aim carefully. Update 7.2 is on test servers now, and coming to live servers soon, so drop in, rank up, and bring the heat to the battlegrounds.
Okay, cool. So, the second update here in Season 7, some changes to the jerry can. Other than that, not a nothing super crazy. Kind of seems like a quality of life, maybe.
I mean, if you look at the jerry can, I mean, that is an interesting mechanic.
It is, very interesting.
Yeah, but definitely, I think it's more of something they've probably just been working on in the background, and they're like, okay, we'll throw this in with the rest of this patch.
It just seems like to me, is this, when you look at something being added to a game, one of the questions I have, Brian, is does it change the flow, right? Does it change how you play the game? Yeah. Do you think people are going to be grabbing these jerry cans and essentially making it an integral part of the game and spilling out gas all over the place?
The biggest thing I would probably notice is if I'm going into a building that I think that someone's going to be coming into fairly soon, you pour it by the door. As soon as they enter, you shoot it and catch them on fire, which would probably make them panic, create a little bit of time of, them running around while you can shoot at them. So, I mean, I can see it being interesting things. But
you're going to use it. That's the thing. It's like, you're familiar with, the old time movie trick, like, oh, let's pour some gasoline all the way over here and then throw the match and, watch it go. I just don't see that Now, the cool thing is grenades and Molotovs and other things can set off the gas. So you could pour it somewhere, lob a grenade, and hopefully get close enough to it for it to explode.
Yeah.
But to me, this just doesn't seem like a game altering thing. I can't imagine many people, if anybody, is actually going to be using it. Like, do you think you'll ever actually get killed by this or get a kill by this? Probably not.
You probably take damage. It'll probably be part of a play, but I don't see it being the thing that killed you.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I think it's cool. The feature is really cool. I'm not sure it necessarily fits.
No. So we will see. I mean, it may be something. What'd be interesting is if in like some sort of a tournament or something like that was the the clinch. You know, people are
Yeah,
like, oh,
well,
that's the best thing ever.
well, here's
Kinda like
the
the
thing, too.
the frying pan on your back. It used to be the thing.
They need to add fire arrows, because that would be the way to do this. Is then you could put, you could spill gasoline a whole bunch of places and have a couple of arrows to shoot and hopefully get it close enough to do
Plus
something.
that would be quieter because shooting a bullet to set this off is one way that's just really going to.
Well, and you're not
give
going to be
away
able to
your
shoot it
position.
off with the only way you can shoot it off with the bullet is if you actually have the can there. You can't spill the gas and then.
No, you can shoot. It says you can shoot the gas.
But my point is, you can't spill the gas and then keep the can.
No. You're using.
So that's the thing, is that's what the cool thing with the fire arrow would be.
Yeah.
Like a remote detonation, kind of. Right? If you see a big gas can, if you see a gas can sitting in the middle of a thing, you're going to probably be like, maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting mechanic, but you'll have those people that are just really nerdy about it that will use it. That'll just try to get it to work and kill somebody. But I think most people will probably ignore it, and it won't be a really big part of the day.
I tend to agree.
So.
What do we got here for a game giveaway, Mr. Brian?
All right, so we're going to be giving a copy of the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Once again, Firebomb is the one who gifted us with this game. So if you do ! giveaway in chat, we'll be giving away a copy of this. I put a timer on this, so it'll close right about at the top of the hour automatically. And this is a game that currently is $20 on Steam. It's got mostly positive ratings. Came out in 2016. So if you're interested in trying it out, it is an adventure indie action board game RPG style. So kind of play your way through levels. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. So ! giveaway, and then we'll give this away before the end of the show.
Very cool. Again, thank you, Firebomb, for throwing us that our way, and hopefully you guys have a chance to win. Very cool.
Yes.
Let's talk about Conan Exiles for a second. They had a free weekend. Unfortunately, it was last weekend. If we would have known on Tuesday, we would have made a game of the week. But they didn't announce it until late in the day on Thursday that it was Friday through Monday. So that kind of sucks. But I was like, oh, yeah, that would have been great to do, but no, obviously not. So let's talk about their update then. They did a PC hotfix 13.5.2020. And this one, nothing super crazy in here. They addressed a number of server crashes. They fixed an exploit that would cause a server to crash under specific circumstances. So I think those are one and the same. Fixed an issue where followers would die of taking falling damage. So, the people you get, the followers would die. Adjusted collision on the horses and rhinos to avoid them bumping the player when on follow. So I guess when you've got these animals trailing behind you, they will, like if you're walking up towards the edge of something, they may bop you off the edge or something like that. I could see where that could be an issue. And then finally here, they fixed
it's realistic though.
Yeah, it is realistic. Yeah, like you're gonna trust the horse not to kick you off the kick you off the edge of the mountain or cliff. And then finally here, they fixed a level of detail issue that would cause NPCs and wildlife to move choppy at lower distances than intended. So they nothing super crazy. But damn, I'm pissed we missed the free weekend.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that they don't announce it like a week beforehand.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately.
All right. Let's talk about the Long Dark here for a little bit.
Okay.
They put out a patch called Fearless Navigator, and they actually have a video. They always do really good videos. So let's play this video because they go into each of the details, and then if we want to discuss some of the specifics, and it's on sale right now as well. So keep that in mind as you're watching this. It's currently $7.49. And I've said over and over again, this is probably one of the most survival games that we talk about on the show. So if you're truly into survival games, for $7.49, this is definitely worth it.
Hello, community. This is Raphael, the creative director at Hinterland. I'm excited to share with you some details about our latest update to the Long Dark survival mode. We're calling this update Fearless Navigator. This update features a series of new gameplay tools themed around in-world navigation. But before I dive into details about the new features, let's recap the Long Dark's approach to navigation in survival mode. We've always avoided the use of a traditional map and GPS-style system where you always know where you're located in the game world. This has made world navigation in the Long Dark very different from other survival or open-world games, in that players have to invest time in learning the layout of the world, and recalling major landmarks is critical to orienting themselves. We've all had that experience of becoming disoriented in a blizzard, and then coming across that familiar stretch of railway, or cabin, or particular clearing with that certain combination of trees and rocks in it. Recognizing these kinds of details is key to being able to successfully navigate the world of Great Bear Island. Years ago, we added the charcoal survey feature, which allows you to draw what you can see around yourself on the map using charcoal taken from burned out campfires. This gave players the ability to take a kind of snapshot of the area immediately around themselves, including all the resources like reishi mushrooms, branches, cattails, and major landmarks like the trapper's cabin or lookout towers, so that not only could they backtrack in search of resources they may need later on, but as long as they could find a familiar landmark, they could use their map to orient themselves when lost. Remember, there's no GPS or compass in the Long Dark. The geomagnetic disaster has rendered those tools completely useless in our game world, and just as in real life, it's easy to get lost in the wilderness, especially if you get turned around in a blizzard. Our unique approach to navigation and mapping is something that is very core to the Long Dark survival mode experience, and we want to preserve that. Many players intentionally avoid using the survey action and don't refer to the map at all, preferring to rely fully on their memory of the world and landmarks. Others would like the map to be a little more useful, particularly as they venture further and further into the vast wilderness of Great Bear Island. Remember, the game world is currently over 50 square kilometers, bigger than Skyrim's map. So over longer running survival games, you can cover a lot of ground, probably too much to keep all in your head. Wouldn't it be nice to have the ability to plan return journeys to places you've already been, or to find important resources you left behind days, weeks, or even months ago? In Fearless Navigator, we've added some new tools that make the map more useful for those who want to use them. We've also added some functionality that will be useful to any die-hard survivor, regardless of whether they ever open the map or not. And most of these tools are still useful even if you want to just continue ignoring the map altogether. The first thing we've added is a new paint marker system. You can find cans of trail marking spray paint in the world, and selecting from a group of survival-themed icons, you can leave useful, high-visibility markers on things like the doors of cabins, the trunks of cars, large rocks, and so on. Some of the marker types you can use include danger, food here, and directional arrows. These bright orange markers are easy to see in the world and can be used to help you keep track of ideal travel paths or to warn you about where you saw a bear den so you can avoid it next time. You can also mark places you've already searched or remind yourself of where you've left useful caches of supplies. Most of these markers are also automatically added to the map, revealing a small area around themselves like a tiny survey action, making it possible to find your way back to important locations later on, even if you've left an area or region and want to come back many days later. You can manually delete any marker you were standing in front of, or you can selectively remove it from the map. Once you've had a chance to play with the marker system a bit, we plan to introduce some decay to the paint so that it gradually fades away over hundreds of game days. But for playtesting purposes in this update, we have the paint markers persisting forever. Spray cans can be found in the world and have a limited number of uses per can, so try to be strategic in your markings, and please respect Mother Nature. We've also added a rock cache system. Rock caches are large trail markers that you can also store items in. Just like the intrepid explorers of old, you build them out of stones you find in the world. When you build one, the area around it is revealed in the map, and you can also edit the rock cache's name to give it some kind of descriptive label. You can build up to 5 rock caches per region, giving you a useful tool to create your own clear landmarks. The rock caches are also tracked in your journal, including the ability to leave a descriptive note of what you stored inside them, making it possible to create your own rock cache supply line to help extend your survival as you explore the world. They are a tool for long-term survival that might save your life down the road. Even with these extra tools that reveal part of the map when you use them, surveying an entire region map can be a painstaking and time-consuming process. We've added a new system of vista surveys to help with that. Each region has a well-hidden Polaroid photo, no doubt left behind by a previous adventurer, and finding this Polaroid reveals a location in the region that will allow a vista survey. If you get to that vista location, a survey action will reveal a large portion of the map to you. Finding the Polaroids won't be easy, and the vistas tend to be hard to get to, but for those who care about mapping the world, the trade-offs should be highly worthwhile. You can keep track of which Polaroids you found in the collectibles section of the journal. Keep in mind that the location of the Polaroids is semi-randomized, so don't expect to find them in the same location twice. We've updated the map's functionality to support these new features, including a sorting function, so that you can hide or reveal certain types of information. You can also see the locations of most markers, any vistas you've unlocked, and all rock caches you've built. This is also a good place to remove any markers you no longer want to keep track of. We've added a location survey list to the journal, which keeps track of every named location you have surveyed in a region. This can be a useful tool for explorers to know if they have found everything in an area, and can also provide the means to track your own personal survival objectives, like find 5 new locations in Bleak Inlet by nightfall. By default, the location names are anonymized to avoid spoiling them for you, but for anyone who is trying to complete the Faithful Cartographer achievement, you can also optionally reveal the location names to ensure you have found them all. And to make the standard charcoal survey more useful, we now account for height when you perform a survey. If you get to a slightly higher location that offers more visibility, the survey action will reveal more of the map than if you perform it from a lower altitude. This gives you the option to be more strategic about where you stand when performing your map surveys. As usual, in addition to these core update features, Fearless Navigator also includes dozens of bug fixes and quality of life improvements, including the addition of a new auto walk accessibility feature. We've also implemented an in-game telemetry system that allows us to track a variety of gameplay actions that we can then use to inform future tuning and feature implementation decisions for the game. This system is turned off by default, and it is entirely opt-in. We are not gathering any data from you without your permission. All that said, we think this information will be very useful to us in making decisions about how to improve the game in the future, so we hope you choose to turn analytics on. This can be done in the options menu under Privacy. And one last quick note for those of you waiting for Volume 2 of the Music for the Long Dark soundtrack. It should be available on Steam around the same time this update launches. Volume 2 includes all the music from Episode 3, as well as nearly 30 minutes of additional survival mode music. All told, it's about an hour of additional music composed by Chris Velasco and Sasha Dishchikian, and we hope you choose to buy it and give it a listen. Selling the soundtrack allows us to invest further resources in expanding the soundtrack for future episodes and survival updates. We hope you enjoy Fearless Navigator, and as usual, if you want to discuss the update, please jump into the official community to share your feedback and experiences with fellow survivors. If you run into any issues, please consult our support portal at hinterlandgames.com/support. For information on future updates and other Hinterland activities, please sign up for our mailing list. And as we'll soon be launching a video version of our popular Milton Mailbag Q&A series, please subscribe to this channel to be notified when we release the first episode in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching, and please stay safe out there. In the era of COVID-19, these words mean a lot more than just avoiding frostbite in the frozen wilderness of the Long Dark. All the best from the team at Hinterland, and good luck with Fearless Navigator.
All right, cool. I'm not sure how I feel, Brian, about game developers starting their own video Q&As. I'm not sure I'm super stoked about that, but to each their own. This is a hell of a deal. $749 for what? I mean, you want to talk about a game? So on Steam, this game has got 54,840 reviews. Let's round up to 55,000 reviews. 92% of them are positive. That's next level. That is unobtainable. You couldn't buy these reviews.
And that's what I keep saying about this. They have over-delivered on every single promise that they made originally with this game. By when I say over-deliver, originally this was just supposed to be an open sandbox world. They've not only have the open sandbox world, but they've added in all these other game modes and a full story mode that takes you through, a single player story that you can go through the whole thing on as well. And they keep on patching it more and more and adding more and more features when the game is essentially finished. I mean, they don't need to, there's no reason for them to keep adding other than they want to have a complete game.
Yeah.
So I think that they've done an amazing job. I think that it's a game that if you're into hardcore survival games, it is probably one of the top hardcore survival games you could play.
I just bought it. It was like 8 something after tax.
Mhm.
And now that's the key thing. This is a very hardcore game. I'm gonna give this a shot.
But because it's single player and offline, the nice thing is you could do it at your own pace. The problem when you have a super hardcore game that's an online game, let's say even Rust.
Yeah.
If you're playing Rust, if you log in once a week, you'll have nothing. You'll never have anything. Everything you have will be destroyed constantly, and then they'll do wipes, and you'll never get anywhere, and you'll get frustrated, and you'll stop.
Yeah.
But with this, what I would encourage you to do is play through the single player story, like play through the story mode, because it will take you through and help you kind of figure out the game. And then if you want to go and do the kind of the survival, like open world sandbox, is more of a test against yourself. It's like people kind of just seeing what they can do and see how far they can go with before they die. But I would encourage you, if you're going to be playing every once in a while, just play the story mode. It's an excellent story. It's difficult enough. And it's teaches you the game and the mechanics to where it's a little less frustrating to do it. So definitely worth it.
All right. Well, I'll be the judge of that here in a couple weeks when I get around to it. But for $8, a game with 92% overall positive reviews, unless you're just not going to play it, it's probably a good buy.
Yeah. And it's definitely a lot of fun. So I would encourage people to try it out and let me know what you think. If you get a chance to play it, let us know if you found that it's a fun game.
Now, Firebomb says you better stream it. Is this a game that you want to stream, Brian, or is this something that you're better off just like doing?
I mean, you could stream it while you play. If you're going to play for a couple hours, stream it.
Is it a game is it a game that is enjoyable to stream, though, or is that going to distract you from the game where it's not going to be helpful?
No, I think it'd be enjoyable because the people will probably tease you about your hunger levels because they can see you slowly approaching death unless something happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people will get a kick out of the fact that like your clock is ticking, you're about to die unless you can find wood or some sort of food, or it's that challenging to where you just see death coming and like you happen to come across something, you're like, oh, that just saved my life. You know, that's the beauty of it.
All right. Well, it is now on my list of games that I own and probably will never play. But hopefully, it will be on the list of games I own and actually play. So that is very encouraging.
Very good.
This is great, Brian. We've got so much actual survival news this week. We've got a new. I mean, it's like this is the golden era of Infection Podcast. We've got like all these games and survival and videos and all this. And I would say probably the most anticipated survival game as of right now is a game by the name of Dead Matter. And Brian, what we've got here is their Vlog 11. Now, if you remember the last time we talked about Dead Matter, they showed the guys from Dead Matter were on a Twitch charity stream in Canada or something like that, and they jumped in game and they showed some gameplay. It was pretty rough, but for what it was, it was. So this is the first time we've heard anything since. So here is Dev Vlog 11 for Dead Matter.
Hey survivors, welcome to Vlog 11. It's been a few months since the last vlog and we've got a lot of things to go over, including lots of work that's been done to develop as well as optimize our main world map. Just after Vlog 10, we brought on 3 additional level designers to help assist with putting our world together. They've been a huge help on the project and lots of work has been getting done, with the focus of not only expanding our world, but also optimizing it and making sure that everything is functional in time for the closed alpha. We've still got a lot of left work on our plates, but we're excited to show what's been worked on since the last vlog. Canmore has been getting lots of love from the level design team and is nearly completed, with all of the bells and whistles that you'd expect from Dead Matter: doors, light switches, claimable structures, and much more. Canmore admittedly became a lot larger than we had initially planned for, but we're making the most out of it and using the town as a performance benchmark for the closed alpha. The town features a large amount of residential buildings, as well as some shops, and even some industrial buildings near the outskirts of town. There's a large variety of locations to be explored within the town of Canmore itself. Key locations include a large grocery store, a library, an under-construction rec center, multiple NERA camps, the medical clinic, the police station, as well as dozens of residential and commercial buildings that extend all the way towards the police station as seen in Vlog 10. Canmore is very large, and this cannot be understated. Moving on to some of the weapon and animation changes, Kyle has performed a pass on the vaulting system as a whole. It feels a lot more responsive than before. He's also increased the fluidity of the system overall, as well as improving the math that's being used to position the player. Based on feedback from our backer community, we've made a large push to include more civilian weapons in Dead Matter. While platforms geared for military use, such as the AR-15 and Kalashnikov, have a place in the game, we feel it is very important to have a large variety of civilian weaponry, since that's what you'll most likely be encountering while playing the game. To address this, we've added 2 new shotguns. The first one is an over and under shotgun. While it's technically not a new addition, there's a brand new set of animations and a brand new mesh with a set of different skins and attachments. So yes, you will be able to use a saw and cut down the barrel length to transform the weapon into a close quarters double barrel boomstick of destruction. We've also added a personal favorite of mine, the 1887. It's a lever action shotgun that allows you to terminate zombies with machine-like efficiency. The 1887 and the over and under bring the total shotgun count up to 4. We're also planning on implementing a lever action rifle in the near future. The M14 now has a complete set of animations. Both 10-round and 20-round mags are fully animated. Utilizing 308 ammunition, this gun is set to tear apart anything unfortunate enough to be on the other end of the barrel. Oh, and you can also set the fire mode to full auto if you find the right variant, and you can handle the recoil. The Mosin Nagant has been revamped with a set of new animations that look 10 times better than before. The Shiny Haxorus has done an excellent job on polishing up all of the existing animations in the game in preparation for our closed alpha. We've also added a Canadian classic, the VZ58. Originally designed and manufactured in Brno, Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic, this VZ58 may look like a Kalashnikov, but that's the only similarity between the two weapons. You can reload the weapon via changing out the magazine, or you can utilize a stripper clip if you've got one available. You'll also be able to reload the weapon by inserting individual rounds. Last but not least, we've added 2 new pistols into the game. One of them is classic, not only for Dead Matter, but for the zombie genre as a whole, the revolver. It's a perfect addition that fits right into the cowboy culture of Alberta. We've also got the Tech 9, a rare weapon that's classed as a pistol. It uses large 32-round magazines, but it's easy to chew through the ammo with this thing. Make sure you're stocked up and plan accordingly. I've done a large pass on the inventory system, including restoration of some functionality that was removed when the inventory was refactored earlier this year. Carrying two-handed objects now functions as it did before, but with a lot more going under the hood to improve overall functionality and make it easier to implement new carryable objects. Large items that need to be carried in the player's hands have received a brand new set of animations instead of being attached to the camera with a head bob doing most of the work. On top of being able to precisely place large items in the world, you can also drop them in a pinch by simply clicking. You can also use large items held in your hands to fend off zombies by shoving them back. Any item with a sub-inventory can be placed in the world, including backpacks and container items. Based on community feedback, you'll be able to create a stash by placing a bucket while holding R, provided that you've got a shovel on hand. Our old vehicle cargo system from Vlog 5 with predetermined locations for held items has been removed. We've now got a 3D inventory system that accepts any item that is capable of being placed from the inventory or two-handed objects that are carried in the player's hand. You'll also be able to access the inventory of any container placed into a 3D inventory. We're hoping that this will help with item management and hopefully make it a bit more streamlined when it comes to moving cargo around between vehicles. I've also implemented a modular crafting system that allows for a variety of item combinations. As an example, you can combine nails, a hammer, and a baseball bat in order to hammer nails into the baseball bat, granting a damage boost. Any sort of weapon modification that's reasonable on the fly, such as attaching or detaching rail-mounted attachments, will be used by this system moving forward. Gun has been working on a variety of different systems. Lockpicking has been abstracted into a minigame subsystem that powers the new hot wiring minigame, along with some help from Adam in the mesh and material department. We're super excited to see players try and hotwire vehicles, as when you end up making a mistake, the game will punish you by triggering the vehicle's alarm that will attract infected towards your location. Gun has also been working on a tree chopping system. All you need is an axe and a little bit of time to cut down a tree. Please note that picking up logs in the future will be similar to picking up a jerry can as shown before. I've implemented a brand new medical system that's tied into a brand new stat system that I've written. Any stat on the player can be modified with our user interface automatically accommodating for everything. This will allow us to very easily tweak the behavior of medical conditions, healing items, perks, attributes, and much more. Limb health is now much more important to look after. If your head or torso get knocked to 0 health, then you will die instantly. Limb health restoration is based on your character's stats as well as your blood. If you're low on blood, your limbs will recover much more slowly. We've also got a few new animations that go alongside the use of the system, such as taking a drink from a soda can or bandaging your wounds. Just keep in mind there's no immediate way to restore your health in the middle of combat, and it's best to choose your fights wisely. Our gore system has seen an initial implementation, however we still need to tweak a few details and add some polish in order to really make it pop. We're excited to show the fully implemented gore system and damage system for the zombies once it's ready. There's been a pass on the vehicle system that's still underway as of right now. We've made sure to clean up the third-person animations for when you're inside of a vehicle or when you're observing someone who is driving a vehicle. Kyle has implemented a free look system that allows you to quickly observe your surroundings without changing your movement direction. The zombie AI has been improved. The animations are still a work in progress, but the zombie behavior is now much more reliable and scalable than before. Kyle has implemented a more robust AI spawn handling system that allows us to make sure you're constantly on your toes when firing weapons. Make sure you find a melee weapon and use it to avoid luring infected or even players to your position. If you are in our community Discord, you may have noticed that the developers either have the status of developing Dead Matter or playing Dead Matter. This is because of our Discord Rich Presence integration. We want playing with friends to be as seamless as possible and felt that a Discord integration should help make it easier, especially for when it comes time for the closed alpha. Players also now have nameplates and can group up together. The UI elements for this are still a work in progress and will be tweaked to minimize the amount of HUD elements shown on the screen. We will also be tweaking the behavior of the crosshair. Lastly, Nomad has replaced the main menu in-game, and we're quite happy with it. For those of you that have been asking, we've added the ability to play the game in single-player mode in time for the closed alpha. Please note that when playing the game in single-player, your computer will be under a lot more stress than playing on a dedicated server. If you want to get into the closed alpha or help support the project, you can still become a backer via Indiegogo or QI Software. We've added additional payment processing options to our own site, including PayPal. We're a crowdfunded project, so every contribution helps us out and helps you get cool goodies for being an early adopter. That's a wrap for Vlog 11. As we approach June, we'll be keeping in touch with the community and we'll be letting you guys know the exact start date for the closed alpha as soon as it's available. Everyone at QI Software is extremely grateful for the support of each and every one of our backers. We're all extremely grateful to each and every one of you that have helped make this project possible. We truly mean it from the bottom of our hearts. Thanks again for all of the support, guys.
All right, so that is Dead Matter. Lot to digest there, Brian. In that update, what the use of vehicles in this game seems to be a lot different than any other survival game
That we've seen up to this point, yeah.
Right, because normally the vehicles are just, okay, I need to go from point A to point B real quick, let's just do that.
Well, the only interaction usually you have in a vehicle is to get into the driver's seat, the passenger seat, or maybe in the back.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just used as it is a vehicle. In this game, it's got this trunk style storage system where you could essentially have a base on. It's not really a base on wheels, but you can transport large pieces or large inventory things in a vehicle, which is something I don't. Now, obviously in H1Z1, we would use the truck as kind of like an inventory, but I've never seen something visual like this.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a
cars
lot
seem to be a big thing.
One thing I noticed with him is he goes through and like he's putting in the time programming in all those nice little features. Like you saw it put a grid on the floor of the truck, of the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
Showing you where you can place items. Like just going through and really spending time putting details into these little features that you don't really notice. Most indie devs don't bother doing this, and I appreciate the fact because I know it's just an extra time consuming thing that it's like, oh, okay, I want to put this in. Most of the indie devs skip it and say I'll do it later, but he's putting them in. So he's got a lot of cool little features like that I just noticed through the videos.
What anything else jump out at you?
Mainly just for instance, every animation seems to be very smooth, like with the weapons to holding items. Yeah. I'm not seeing all the little weird glitches that you see on most indie devs with the movements and the little glitches. So all I can say is it really looks like he's taking the time and programming it correctly and putting in all the proper features. I think this with mod support would be awesome because if putting in a nice, smooth, well-working system where I think he's probably not spaghettiing his code. It looks like he's doing it in a way that's structured well because you're not seeing those little weird little glitches. Where if they would, because on the page it does say it will have mod support. I've been asking for an Unreal Engine game with really good mod support that isn't Arc. That's the big thing. And even Conan Exiles, that's too themed. I want something that will allow you to create something more generic. And I think that if this can be that, then I'm perfectly happy with it. It'd be great. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see when it's released. It's going to be released here, in a month?
Yeah, supposedly.
So it's coming up pretty quick.
I got to go back it so I can get access to it. Which
I backed it, so I've been waiting for it.
Yeah,
so
I need to go do that. $35 for the backing. I think we missed this earlier. Our friend Battery Included hit us up with 300 bits and said, "Love the stream when I can catch it." We want to thank him. Sorry for. I remember it popping up, but I don't remember if we talked about it. So if not,
I think it was in the middle of like a video, or no, it was when something was happening at the time.
Well, Battery Included, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. And thanks for your support. It means a lot.
Yep.
All right. So that's dead matter. Yeah, it's a thing. It'll be a thing. Hopefully a playable thing here shortly. I'll tell you what, Brian. If this game doesn't live up to its expectations, which there's a high possibility of, just saying.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on the horizon?
We're currently waiting on Dead Side. Dead Side.
Yeah, but Dead Side's already out.
It's out there,
and we know what Dead Side is. It's a small development team. They're actually I was talking to somebody in Discord this morning about this. Let me see if I can pull up my conversation back and forth. I was chatting with OG Bobby J this morning, and he said I was thinking about getting Last Oasis or Dead Side. And I said Dead Side is good, but at this point, Last Oasis is more of a playable game and probably has more longevity into it. Or has more longevity built into it. And the key with Dead Side is as good of a game as it is. The amount of time it's going to take them to implement features,
all the features, that people are looking for,
I'll have grandkids graduating from high school by the time all those obviously that's a little outlandish, but it's like 4 guys. Now obviously the idea would be that the game does well, they can hire more people,
good. People start purchasing, they start making money, and then now they'll be able to actually hire somebody.
Exactly. So that's where a game like Dead Side stands. I do think Dead Side is a good purchase, but if you're looking for a game that's playable right now, it seems like a game like Long Dark or Last Oasis or something else is a far better fit.
If you're not looking for a multiplayer, the Long Dark, excellent choice. It's highly polished. If you're looking for a very polished game that you can just play through. But if you're looking for something multiplayer, then that's where you're going to look at some of these other ones.
And I will say this.
But there are ones where you have to dedicate some decent time to it.
Dead Side, I think, is a good investment long term.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of promise. Is it a great game right now? No. But
one thing I can say that I appreciate is Dead Side isn't throwing in a bunch of useless features. They're not just throwing in objects. Yeah. They're implementing them as they become useful, rather than throwing everything in and saying, well, this isn't really useful yet. So I think that they're doing it right. Like they really focused on the networking and the multiplayer early on. They've put in anti-cheat. They're working their way through, but with 4 people, it's very difficult. So hopefully they do get enough money to where they can hire on additional people and just keep scaling up the rate at which they're producing their game.
Absolutely. So that's not really Dead Matter related, but it's in the similar vein. So Dead Matter, if you're interested, you can go to their website. It is playdeadmatter.com, or you could search them up on Indiegogo, where they've at this point raised $610,000, which is a lot of money.
And they've been hiring on people. They're in kind of the final stages, hiring on additional level designers to get it ready for release. So
very cool.
Hopefully it works out.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Rust a little bit. They actually have a video, and this I think is a Shadowfrax video, but it's showing off some things that are available on the test branch, the beta branch right now. So if you log into your regular Rust, you're not going to see these exactly as they are right now, but they do have a beta branch that will allow you to see vehicles.
Greetings, survivors and friends, Shadowfrax here, and cars are finally in Rust. Well, not quite. You'll be able to play with them on Monday the 18th, but I can give you a heads up in advance because I'm special. I'm going to show and tell you what I can about them now, but if you'd like to see some more of them in action and grill me for details, then I'll try to stream them tonight, that's Friday, over on Twitch from 7 PM British Summer Time. Links down below. A couple of things that you must note first though. 1. There will be bugs. And 2. Everything is subject to change. Right, so as mentioned last week, the plan is to allow testing of the new vehicles to begin for all of you lots on Monday the 18th of May, and this will be happening on the staging branch on a separate beta. Basically, if you own Rust, then you automatically have the staging branch in your library, so you can get that installed in advance. Then on Monday, there'll be a dev blog released, and that'll tell you how to switch to the appropriate beta. The team want to have a decent amount of testing take place on the cars to get feedback, squish bugs, balance everything, and make them idiot-proof, which is where you come in. And so for the rest of May and June, they'll be confined to the staging branch before finally being let loose on the release branch in July's update. That's the one most of you play on normally. Currently, you'll be able to find cars in a wrecked state and in various random configurations next to roads. They're built on a modular system and start with there are 3 different lengths of chassis. Short, which can hold 2 modules, medium, which can hold 3, and long, which, yes, can hold 4. When you find them, they'll be in a right state. Badly damaged, no fuel, and with a complete lack of engine parts. You'll need to find and insert 5 different parts to get them working, and these are a carburetor, crankshaft, pistons, spark plugs, and valves. You'll discover low-tier versions of these in loot, but you'll also be able to buy tier 2 and 3 versions at the compound, which can be researched and crafted. Higher tier parts can make your vehicle faster or more economical, but any tier will make it work, and they can be mixed and matched. Also, not to be forgotten, you'll need to shove some low grade in the fuel tank at the back, which can hold up to 500. When you find a car, as mentioned, it'll be beaten up and in need of repair. This you'll be able to do either manually by whipping out your hammer and using metal frags, and in some cases wood, or in the comfort of your own garage by using another new item, the vehicle lift. You'll be able to buy one of these at the compound at a vending machine just here for 300 scrap, although the price, like everything else, is subject to change. Once you've placed a lift in your base or even outside, simply supply it with 20 power, then drive or push your old banger onto it. You can then choose to work on the vehicle, which will allow you to repair parts, add, remove and edit the layout of your modules. You can strip it right down to the chassis if you wish, but it won't be able to leave the lift without an engine and driver's seat. Like, duh. You can't craft chassis or modules. These need to be found around the world as well, and at the moment there are 10 different modules as follows: a cockpit, a cockpit with a small engine, and an armoured cockpit, all three of which seat a driver and passenger. 2- and 4-seater passenger modules, which means that with a long chassis you could create something that seats a small 10-man Zerg, a large engine module for more power, single and double module flatbed sections which allow players to stand on the back, but no, you can't put horses there sadly, a dual module large fuel tank, which currently only stores water but may store other things in the future, and lastly a storage module with 18 slots. Each module has its own max condition, and these are added together to give the overall maximum condition for the vehicle. If all of the modules on a vehicle reach 0 health, then you can no longer drive it. Vehicles currently fully decay within 216 minutes if left outdoors, and this is extended by 10 times when kept indoors. As you can tell, there's a lot of scope already for many different designs, and yes, it's also possible to have multiple engines and even more than one driver's seat, with potentially 2 players fighting for control of the vehicle. What a time to be alive. Literal backseat drivers. Something else to note is that the types of module used and their placement will affect the weight of the vehicle and its center of mass. Driving them isn't too complicated, just WASD basically. F toggles the headlights, and there's a fuel gauge like the choppers. It does hurt players and animals when they get hit with one, as you'd imagine, but the amount of pain inflicted scales with speed, so all the way from nothing up to instant death. And scientists are not immune either. However, the terrain you drive on does matter, with any off-road driving causing them to lose condition much faster, and going over humps and bumps causing quite a bit of damage. The grip on roads is currently 50% higher than off-road too, so any ideas of Zergs mowing down all and sundry and there being nowhere to hide should be relegated. Oh, and before you ask, no, you can't put a lock on them. Not sure if that'll always be the case, but certainly at the moment you'll just have to take some bits out of the engine to stop randoms from pinching them. As I say, this is all subject to change. And after all, that's why there's going to be substantial testing before they're finally released into the wild, so you can jump on board next week and help to send feedback. Cars won't be the only big change coming in July either. According to recent commits, it seems that acquiring choppers is going to change soon, and they'll no longer spawn in the world as they do now. Exact details are yet to be confirmed though. In works in progress, still lots going on, with new building blocks on the horizon such as spiral stairs and ramps, smart alarms and switches for use with the upcoming companion app, plus a mixing table that seems to be for making teas and granting character buffs. And I'm hoping to have more details on these soon, so make sure you're subscribed and leave a like on this video if you'd be so kind. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, where I stream 3 times a week, and stay up to date with my content by following me on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and my Steam group. I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right, some interesting things going on with Rust. The vehicles seem to be, at this point, based on the decay time and the inability to really store them, may I say useless, Brian?
I mean, they're kind of like the helicopters.
Full decay in 216 minutes, 10 times that if you have it indoors?
Yeah. I mean, it's more of like the helicopters. I think they're more of a one-time use. Try them out and then be done.
But are you going to want to put all that time into customizing something like this? With it's got all these different modules and things that you can like kit it out with.
Yeah, but I bet once they're not in the world, then it'll be something to where they probably last a lot longer. I think they're keeping them short just so that there's not tons of vehicles all over the map.
Okay, true. Okay.
So, because they want them to kind of cycle through. That you can build them, you can drive them for a bit, then the people will probably leave them when they run out of gas. Then they'll go away. I think at some point it'll be where people are storing them, and like they'll have their vehicle that they use to go and gather or to go, do an attack. And then they'll have them last much longer, but they'll be probably much more difficult to get at that point.
Yeah.
So they said that, they're not just going to be sitting around the world probably at that point, or they'll make the materials that much difficult to get to where it's actually a big deal to have one.
I'm not necessarily sure that it really needs vehicles. I think it's been pretty good up to this point. So that it's not like people already haven't adapted to not having vehicles. So I'm really wondering how big of an impact they will have.
My concern about this is maps seem very small the second that you implement vehicles. I'm sure with the ability to fly, that had a big impact on this.
But that's limited to 2 people, right? You're not pulling your whole squad. You could fit up to 10 people in one of those cars. That's a huge amount of people to be transporting.
Yeah, and it makes it so where you can move around the map much more quickly. I'm sure they'll be putting in a lot of landmines and things to... I'm sure they're going to be adding additional things that you can place or use to destroy these vehicles over the next couple months as well, to make it to where you can set up traps and all kinds of things along the road to catch these people. I think it's going to become its own mini game in a way.
Yeah, I have. If I had to gamble, I would say that is also probably
might turn into a Mad Max Road Warrior type of thing.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we're running a little long again. I know there's some things that we didn't have a chance to get to. Is there another thing another topic you want to cover?
I'll just mention Ark had a really small update, server side only, so not a big deal. Dead Side did put out an update, and it was just more of a couple of items, fixing dupe things and just a number of fixes. They are doing a wipe. But bases will not be wiped, but characters, inventories, points, storage containers, all those things will be wiped. Unturned, they put out an update 3.20.5.0. One thing that they did is improve the post-processing effects. So that was something that looks pretty cool. Other than that, it's mostly tweaks and fixes. We still didn't talk about Apex Legends Season 5, but we could probably do that next week. And then there's another game I was going to just discuss a little bit, but not anything we need to rush towards.
Wow. I honestly, Brian, when we first jumped in here, I was looking at the show notes. I was like, damn, I don't know if we're going to be able to fill 2 hours. And here we are 2 hours and 7 minutes later and didn't cover literally half of them. So fantastic as always. All right. Well, any of those stories we'll get to those next week. We do have them in our notes. We'll copy them over for next week as well.
Very good.
So with that being said, what do you think about looking at some video game numbers, Brian?
Let's do it.
All right, let's take a look at current players, some people that are currently playing some video games. Let's start off with DayZ. Currently playing this 10,792. The 24-hour peak is 20,155 with a 7-day peak of 25,567. Let's take a look at Ark Survival Evolved, currently playing 45,816. The 24-hour peak 24-hour peak is 69,049. The 7-day peak is 90,893. Taking a look at Rust, 45,249 people currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 66,449, with a 7-day peak of 82,433. Let's take a look at 7 Days to Die. Currently playing this, 15,652. The 24-hour peak, 17,163, with a 7-day peak of 22,642. Conan Exiles. Currently playing this, 12,828. The 24-hour peak is 17,838. 23,607 is your 7-day peak. And wrapping it up, Dead Side. Currently playing 2,485. The 24-hour peak, 3,575. That is also your 7-day peak. Hit today, 3,575 for Dead Side. And that is current players. And our friend Ross is saying, wow, a lot more people playing Conan. Yeah, Conan is
it's been consistently going up.
They're rocking and rolling over there.
Yep. Yeah, they've done a really good job, and it's the asset packs that they've been putting in supporting the role-playing community. I mean, they were similar to Rust. They figured out their community and they serve their community. They don't try to say, like I've said with Miscreated how many times, hey, you're going to like our game whether you like it or not.
We're going to play the way
game.
Yeah, we're going to play the way you're going to play the way we want you to play.
Miscreated is Miscreated's game. I think Rust is making a game for their community. Conan is making a game for their community. And so I think that's the big difference is they're willing to put in whatever they think would improve and make the game more fun for the community that plays their game. and they found that, and then so I think that's good for them, and it makes it a fun game because there's people playing it. You go in there, you jump on servers, and there's a bunch of stuff going on, so it's pretty cool.
Agreed.
All right, are we ready for some tip of the week here?
Always ready for the tip, Brian.
All right. Well, because we've been talking about Long Dark, I figured we would do that for tip of the week because hopefully people will be going and purchasing it since it's on sale and they're all excited about it. So this was tip of the week.
Would you say this is a hardcore tip you're giving us right here?
No, this is not a hardcore tip. This is more of a help you get started, ease you into the Long Dark.
An easing
so that
into
then
the
you
tip.
can become hardcore.
All right.
Yes.
Tip of the week.
Well, as I mentioned, hopefully if you don't have this game, you pick it up during the sale. I think that you'll find that it's definitely worth it if you get a chance to get it. Hopefully these different things I'm going to point out help you along the journey because this game is just one gigantic journey. It's very difficult to do. But one of the first things that you will do once you get into the game is you need to craft a torch. This is something that you will need because an important aspect of this game is you need to keep moving. You can't sit and just hold up in one place and stay there for long periods of time because the amount of resources that you will have in that area, you will deplete them. You will use them, the firewood, the food, whatever materials are there. And so being that's the case, you will then need to move on to another area where there's more resources available. As you move around, you'll need to remember that you can repair clothes with sewing kits. Clothes are a very important thing. If you come across a pair of clothes that have more warmth, that have better insulation, maybe they're damaged. You'll need to keep sewing kits to be able to repair those because those make a huge difference on the difficulty level. As you get better clothes, you'll burn less calories and you'll require less food less often, and it'll really help you. But they are definitely essential in this game. Also, keeping dry clothes. There's a lot of different aspects that this looks at. And finally, one thing you might want to do is keep a flare on you. And not for necessarily the light of the flare. You can light your way with a flare, but I would use perhaps that torch to do that. Use the flare for scaring away wolves because you'll be going around. If you get wolves or a bear, something chasing you, it becomes very difficult to keep away because you're burning resources trying to outrun them. But so if you are being pursued by wolves, one thing you do is you pull out the flare, use that to scare them away, and then you'll live long enough to be able to continue in the game. So that is tip of the week.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to playing this, Brian.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to play because I have it on console as well. So I'm thinking of going through and doing a playthrough on console, just kind of playing it before I go to bed at night. Because it's that type of a game where you could do that and it would be a lot of fun. So,
yeah. No, I mean, you're not going to find, I'll say it again, shameless plug, not a sponsor. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a 92% of 55,000 reviews on Steam, very positive game for $7.50. I think you'd be hard pressed to find that anywhere. So, yeah, there you go.
Yes, definitely worth it. All right. We ready for this game giveaway?
Yeah. What do we got here?
All right. So let's go ahead and we are rolling for the Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
Okay.
And so let's go ahead and draw. And congratulations, Bobby J.
Hey, our boy.
Yes. So congratulations, Bobby J. And I will send you in chat the key for this. And thank you, Firebomb, for donating these games and giving my my collection a little bit of a break. So.
Yes. I also want to thank a couple of individuals, including our friend Head Neophyte for the resubscription here on Twitch, and then our buddy Battery Included for the 300-bit cheer. Gentlemen, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. And by the way, as of right now, the way things are trending, PAX West, they've already announced it's happening, and now that we're starting to see other things beginning to start, unless they implement some like crazy regulations as to things you have to do, we will be there for PAX West this year. So we're looking forward to that, and your support makes that stuff possible.
Yes, thank you very much. Is there anything else we need to cover before we roll on out of here?
I don't think so. Game of the week, not super sure of anything. But yeah,
I think just if you want to play a game, show up. We've had people playing Ark every night. We've had people playing Call of Duty. So I mean, there's a number of games going on. So I'd encourage you just to show up, and there will be games being played, but we won't set a specific one. Just show up, and then whatever you would like to play, you're more than welcome to. And if there's ones that people are already playing, just jump in and join them. So
absolutely. So thank you very much, Brian. Where can people find you on the interweb?
All right. Well, if you'd like to find me, you can find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or if you want to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, make sure you go to our website if you want to maybe play the games on Friday night like we were speaking about. You can go to the right-hand side of the website and see join our server on Discord. Not only can you join us for playing games, you can also submit news. So if there's a topic that you think we should discuss or something we've been missing, make sure you submit that in the news channel, and we will include those in our show notes. If you want to get a notification right before the live show starts, you can do that by joining our Steam group, and you'll get a little, if you have Steam open, you'll get a little notification. If you want to watch the video forms of the podcast, you can do that through Mixer, through YouTube, through Twitch, and through BitChute. If you want to listen to it after the fact, just go to the lower right-hand side of the website. We've got a whole bunch of different platforms and things that you can listen to the podcast on. If you want to maybe see a video or look at an article that we're referring to, we have show notes now for 279 episodes of the podcast. So if you just go to our website, click on the particular episode that you're going to be watching or listening to, and you'll be able to see the show notes for everything that we discuss. Speaking of packs, if you want to help support us, help support purchasing of the Airbnb and all the different things that come up from costs for that, you can do that by, if you're going to be purchasing through Amazon, go to amazon.infectionpodcast.com. Or if you're going to be doing any Humble Bundle purchases, humble.infectionpodcast.com. Or if you want to support us through your Twitch Prime sub, you can do that by just going to our Twitch channel and subscribing to that. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free one of those every month. And a lot of people use that. And thank you very much, because that is the majority of what pays for our trip. So I think that's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. We appreciate it as always, and we'll see you next week.
Very good. Thank you.
Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining us live. If you maybe weren't here live, we do this show live every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch, Mixer, and on YouTube. And as Brian said, the video versions are available on both YouTube and BitChute. I've been uploading the shows there, just as another way for people to get the show if they want to do so. Well, my name, of course, as always, is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. If you missed any portion of the show, show notes, videos, images, screenshots, tips, all those other fun things are on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.